Minasan konnichiwa. Watashi no namae wa Arudo desu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. I'm an Android engineer from Line Indonesia. And in this session, I'm going to talk about how to reduce Android app launch time by scoping your dependencies using Koin DI. So I've been working in Line to the app since 2018. And back then, it's still version 1. Right now, Line to the app version is 4.1. So as you can imagine, there are many features that we release. Okay. So this is the features that we have released, like reading news, including comments, bookmark, and sharing articles, watch videos, listen to podcasts. There are many podcasts that we have released, and many more. And this is related to our topic today. How do we maintain these features, especially the features that we will have in the upcoming future? Because more features eventually leads to more objects, and more objects means more modules that we have to create. And let's use DevDay schedule apps to further demonstrate my point. This simple app only has two simple features, which is show news and show list of speakers. That's it. And to create this app, we will have two activity, speaker activity and news activity. Each activity has its own modules, and inside those modules, there are objects. So how do we inject those objects in our Line DevDay schedule app? Commonly, we override the onCreate functions on applications. And in this onCreate, we just have to inject those modules using that functions, modules, speaker modules, and news modules. By doing this, the objects that's required by speaker activity and news activity will be available when a user open the speaker screen or news screen. So what's the problem with this approach? Well, first of all, production apps has more than 2 modules and 15 objects. And if we have 200 objects, it's going to take more than 16.7 milliseconds, which means we will have a skipped frame. And those objects will linger in memories, whether we are using it or not. And that's from the product perspective. From engineering perspective, it means we are not ready to scale. If we want to add more objects, eventually we will have a slower app launch time. That's not what we want. And the second point, which is hard to maintain the code, it means that if somebody modify the implementation in the modules or in the objects, then it might cause an unexpected side effect. So how to improve this? We can use this technique called scoping, which means fixed duration of time or method calls in which an object can exist. So in this example, the objects in speaker activity doesn't require objects in news activity. So we can extract them out. And this is the injection results if we didn't scope the modules. As you see, we have 15 objects that's created during app launch time, 15 objects. And we have 1.7 milliseconds to load it. And this is what happened if we scope the dependencies. It's 73% faster, and it only binds to objects. Of course, it varies with your apps or Line to the app, because the number of objects that created is for each application is different. But it still has a relevant points. The first point is we will have to load the object faster, because the object's creation is now delegated to respective screen. And second, the memory use. Now the the objects is created and destroyed only during that scope. So that's the benefit of scoping. To reiterate my point, first, it will faster app launch time. And second, the object exists only when they are used. And now we're ready to scale. We don't have this anxiety if we add more objects to our applications. If you want to add 10 objects, 100 objects, it doesn't matter, because the objects will only add complexity to that certain features, not to the whole applications. And it also means we have a more maintainable code. For example, if we want to test a certain features, we don't have to prepare objects for many features. We only need to prepare for that certain features. And also, if we want to modify existing object for certain features, we are sure that those changes won't affect any other features in our app. In fact, if you did something wrong, it won't even compile, so you can fix it right away. So I will show you how do you scope a modules. So this is the unscoped version for a speaker module. And this is the scope version. Did you notice any difference? For me, I find it difficult to find the difference, which is a good thing, because it means that Koin API is really simple and consistent. So what we need to add to scope our modules is just add the scope functions. And in this example, we use speaker activity as our scope. And that's it. So that's another reason to use Koin. Koin has a built-in support to add a scope related to the activity lifecycle. So things like activity, fragment, view modules, you can just use it as a scope without any additional code. And the point I want to make is scope as much as possible, and it is not tied to one DI framework like Koin. In fact, you can use it on another DI framework like Dagger. In Dagger, you can use scope annotation or sub-components to scope your dependencies. Yeah, that's all from me. The code and the presentation will be released after Dev Day. Thank you very much.